and we thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
It was quite a speech. President Trump says troops on D-Day won the survival of our civilization. Joining me right now, presidential historian Doug Wead. Good to see you. You're the guy to talk to, a historian on a day like today. What did you think of the president's speech, and how significant was that day, this day, 75 years ago, in shaping the entire future of the world?
Yeah, first the speech. I can tell you my in-laws live in France, can't speak a word of English. Yeah. And you won't believe this, but the French media is more negative towards Trump than the American media. So when they heard Donald Trump's speech, they were stunned. They said in their little village, everybody was weeping. They were talking about the speech. It's the first time they had ever heard Donald Trump speaking unfiltered. They hadn't heard any of his comments at Bastille Day. They didn't know that Melania had lived in Paris and could speak fluent French, even though she had been all over the newspapers. So this was a magical moment for many of the people in France, a deeply touching moment, as it was for any American who saw that speech.
Yeah, no, and look, even the Democrats appreciated his speech today. Getting back to that moment in history, it really did change the world. And the U.S. effectively became that hegemonic world power that was always on a search and a quest for greatness and for the preservation of human rights. How important is it to future generations of America that we stay on that path and that we are influential in a way that is positive for the world?
Yeah, this was a rare moment where we could call evil evil. We could say we're on the right side, that the nuances of different opinions and political views sometimes comes into play, but finally,
I mean, you're massacring millions of people, right? I mean,
yes.
Nazi Germany, there was no if and but about that one. Had to be taken down, and the
Although
U.S.
we
did
didn't
it.
fully know when D-Day happened, Eleanor Roosevelt and some others had information, the American Secretary of Treasury, but we weren't fully convinced of the concentration camps till our soldiers actually walked into them. But we sensed evil in what he had said. And great heroes. One of the heroes that came to my mind today was Teddy Roosevelt Jr. He was a great general, and his great battlefield exploits were censored by FDR, who saw him as a political rival. So he convinced Eisenhower that he should land, the only general to land on D-Day with his troops in the first wave, and he landed. He went out on the beach with his cane. He'd been injured in World War I, and he pointed to the German machine gun nests while his soldiers crawled along the beach, and the bullets just whizzed. That event is memorialized in the movie The Longest Day, and Henry Fonda plays the part of Theodore Roosevelt Jr. It was like, kill me, but the bullets, none of them hit him. He died of a heart attack a few weeks later and was given the Medal of Honor posthumously.
Wow. Look, those brave soldiers risked their lives in unthinkable ways and went through a lot of hell. So it's important, I think, that we never lose sight of that we never forget that, Doug, right?
Right, and a great hero that comes from that we could look to is Dwight Eisenhower. We had more spectacular generals strategically and tactically. MacArthur and Patton come to mind, and others. But inevitably, we turned to Eisenhower, and the whole world turned to Eisenhower because he knew how to get along with people.
Wow.
And when he came back
and history
from
was
Europe,
written. Doug Wead,
history was written.
So good to have you here. Coming up, we're going to hear from a World War II vet.